Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to create this. Okay, this is trees growing inside the contour shape of your animal that represents you. Some people call that a spirit animal. I don't call it that, but a lot of people do. Okay, the animal that represents you with trees growing inside of it is a little bit challenging. You remember the first step that we did was we used basic shapes, and we drew the shapes with the angles for the legs, right? And then after we did the shapes with the angles, we drew the contour. Your final picture, does it have a contour on it? No, there's no contour on your final picture. So how do you achieve that? Well, here's how. Some people achieve it by tracing the contour with marker so that you can see it from the other side. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you can kind of see the contour from the other side. That will create your boundary so that you will make your tree inside of the boundary, okay? If you use a Sharpie marker, it will almost certainly bleed through. I tried with another class to use a Sharpie marker, and it did not work. The Sharpie marker bled through, and then I had a contour on this side and on this side. Thankfully, this watercolor marker, since I'm moving it, see how I'm moving it kind of fast? I'm really good at tracing. I feel so proud of myself when I can do good things. All right, I'm tracing it, okay? And I have my contour of my animal, okay? Now, you can kind of see, if you hold it up to a window or a light, you can really see. I have a light table, and now I can really see, but you don't really need the light table. You can just kind of squint. But for the video, I want to make my life easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it on the light table, okay? So, and you can also use a window. All right, the rule is, okay, don't write this on your paper, but please don't do what I'm doing. You need to start big, and then you go to like medium, right? And then you go to small, and then you go to tiny, okay? Don't write those words. That's just for demonstration purposes. Okay, the legs are where we're gonna do our branches usually, okay? So it's kind of meticulous. You kind of take your time with it, and you're gonna do your tree trunk. That's the big part, okay? You need to plan it out. Last week there were some students that did kind of the tree trunk only reached to here, and that doesn't make sense, does it? We've got to make the tree trunk fit the animal, okay? In real life, things, right? Yeah, it gets skinnier at the top, and it gradually gets thicker as it goes down. Okay? A lot of people start with just a line. Starting with a line is okay. Starting with a line, you can always go back and make it thicker, okay? I'm gonna move to marker, but do you have to move straight to marker?
No.
No. You can start with pencil, okay? My tree trunk is gonna follow the contour of the legs. And then my tree trunk, I'm gonna make a line. Okay, I can always make it thicker later, okay? So, I got my big stuff checked off, check, right? Now I wanna go to my mediums. My medium branches always grow out just like a tree. We practice drawing a tree. I'm gonna start with a line. In my head, I always say or right? And I pick a new spot, a new spot. I'm not gonna bring it quite to the edge, because I know that I want to do, maybe I want to split it at the end to make smaller ones. Maybe, okay? And that's probably good, maybe, I don't know, maybe one more for medium, all right? Is that good enough, or should I thicken it? I probably should thicken it. Now here's the good news. You can always go back later and thicken it. Here is something I noticed though, when kids are thickening it, a lot of times they'll only make like right where it's connected thick, and they won't bring the thickness down. It's a gradual process. You want to do a little bit at a time. Thick, thin, thinner, thinnest. Follow in the direction of the branch. You don't go the opposite way. You go along the branch, thick, thinner, thinnest. And this actually is something that becomes very relaxing and peaceful if you are taking your time. The more you take your time, the better it looks. Okay, so I've got my medium, check. Now it's time to do my smaller branches. It doesn't look right if they all come out of the same exact spot, so I pick a spot, I make a branch. I pick a spot, actually I probably should have put one here. That's a medium one. I pick a spot, to the edge, I pick a spot, pick another spot, and I'll pick, maybe not right here in the same spot, but maybe up a little higher, okay? Remember, you can start with just lines, and you can always go back and add more later. I'm gonna have you sit. And, all right. And I've got, listen, this takes patience because I'm gonna go back on every single one of these and make them a little bit thicker. These are my smaller branches, so should my small branches be bigger than my medium branches? No. Not really, no. And I'm realizing I need to fill some gaps. All right, how does it look? Does it look like a giraffe yet?
No.
Not yet. Oh dear. Now it's time for the smaller branches. Smaller branches. I'll bring it to the edge. I want to bring these to the edge of the nose. And then I want to talk to you about what Alfred Basha does. Alfred Basha, he does all the fancy stuff. It really starts to fill in on this step, the tiny step. In fact, if you'll hand me a skinny Sharpie, I want to show you with the tiny step. The tiny step, this will probably be okay there. The tiny step is, here, let me have one of each, yeah. He goes and he just does like a Christmas tree. He goes up and out, up and out, up and out, and he fills in as much of the gaps as he can, all the way to the edge with tiny branches. Wherever he can fit tiny branches, he puts them. That's what Alfred Basha does. And he really fills in the contour without actually outlining the contour. He fills the contour. I personally don't like that many tiny branches. So you can see on mine, I mean, look, tiny branches, they look kind of cool, yeah. Okay? You can do bunches of tiny branches. On the example I made before, I didn't really like having such tiny branches. I kind of limited the amount of tiny branches and I just brought my small branches to the edge. I don't like having a bunch of them coming out. I like to kind of like limit the amount. But anyways, that's how it works, okay? You're gonna fill in the contour neatly. And if you have a branch that's not thick enough yet, okay, here's my example from before. I really feel like this branch should be a little thicker. And I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna thicken it. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna thicken this. It is a peaceful and relaxing process, okay? You can always go back into each one, slowly and gradually filling it up to the edges, okay? It always needs to be thicker at the bottom, and I want to taper that a little neater. So I'm touching it up, okay? I really think we can get this done today without even having light tables, okay? So all we'll need to do is trace the contour with a marker, right? And then flip it over and fill in the branches up to the lines, okay? It is going to take patience, but I know you guys can do it, all right? Let's all, why don't you pass the markers out? And let's get started.